Hey yo, what's good? It's your boy Mixtape Moth, and today I'm going to hit y'all with a review of the new Grafh album entitled Stop Calling Art Content. Let's get to it. Alright, so Grafh is an MC coming out of Jamaica, Queens, who has been putting in work since the early 2000s. He is most known for his mixtape series, The Oracle, which dates back to 2004. And just last year, he dropped the third installment to that series, and that received a good bit of praise by fans of lyrics and gritty boom bap. Now, Grafh is an artist who has always been able to rap at a high level, but unfortunately he never received the recognition that he probably should have. But for this brand new album, Grafh decided to lock in with Buffalo's Black Soprano family and the late great DJ Shay, who produced all of the beats before he passed away in 2020. Benny the Butcher even managed to earn himself an executive producer credit. I found the cover art to be pretty interesting and colorful. There's something about it that reminds me of a cross between A Tribe Called Quest and Griselda. Like if you mashed those two aesthetics together, you would get this. In terms of the features, Grafh brought along the following: Benny, Bun B, Sahada Prince, Styles P, Sheek Luch, Ransom, Heem, Rick Hyde, El Camino, and 3D Nati. So this project contains 13 tracks and clocks in at around the 45-minute mark. But with that being said, let me go ahead and just hit y'all with this track by track breakdown. The intro features words from a computerized voice explaining the meaning of the album title, and that message is that art should not be labeled as content. The word content is a business term or social media buzzword that has been used loosely to refer to an artist's music. And I gotta say that I do personally agree with Graph's sentiment in that art is not content, because we hear it all too often as a content creator. Well, guys, when you're creating your content. Now, the first actual track, God Bless, sets things off in a reflective and thoughtful note. We get a chill beat from Shay that has luxurious keys and a soulful vocal harmony. This one finds Grafh praying that his friends and family make it out the hood. Grafh raps, "When you have a black face, it's a rat race to the precinct." Towards the end of the track, Grafh also talks about Shay's untimely passing right before the album was completed. Therefore, Grafh feels compelled to carry on the torch for Shay's legacy. As a whole, it's a pretty thought-provoking and mature opening song. Track 2, Very Different, featuring Benny the Butcher, is one of the stronger spots on the project. This has a high-pitched horn loop that's simple, but I think it gets the job done. Grafh declares that street dudes are back in style again. He raps, "You want to play, but never in the field, fantasy football." So this record is all about how Benny and Grafh feel they're cut from a cloth that is different from their industry counterparts. Benny has a solid verse, but the part that stood out most to me was when he said, "Money make you happy? That's never been true. It put my dog against my dog like X against Snoop." That was obviously a reference to last year's versus battle between DMX and Snoop. Track 3, No Reason, has a similar theme. Grafh admits to chapping since high school, therefore he doesn't have much in common with the industry. This has a minimalist boom bap beat with thumping bass and some spacey synths worked in. The hook was alright, but it probably should have featured Westside Gunn himself, considering whoever performed this hook did his boom 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 ad-libs. I mean, why not go straight to the source and actually get Westside Gunn? This person also managed to work in some Prodigy lines. Now, track 4, Chosen, is one of the weaker songs on the album, without a doubt. There's a sing-song hook that in itself doesn't make it bad, but there was nothing memorable about the track altogether. Sure, his wordplay was on point, but as a whole, this one didn't do much for me at all, if I'm being honest. The following, Out the Pot, has more of a contemporary sounding beat that blends elements of trap and boom bap. It's more melodic, and there's this overall dope boy kind of energy to it. From a lyrical standpoint, nothing here really jumped out at me. It just showed that Grafh can make a decent coke chefing anthem. Right after is Promise, featuring Black Soprano family members Heem and Rick Hyde. Production wise, it's bouncy and up-tempo, but for some reason I found the instrumental to be a bit stale. I also didn't love the hook, and the Heem and Rick Hyde verses just kind of existed. Yeah, there's nothing that's gonna wanna make me go back to this one. Thankfully, track 7, Slums, is a highlight. Here we are getting some of the best rapping on the album over a slower paced and somber beat. While I feel Grafh had a decent verse, it was really Saha the Prince and 3D Nati who had the MVP verses, especially 3D Nati on her opening lines. I'm from a section where every 60 seconds guns are blazed. For funerals, fam sell fish plates until their funds are raised. Depend on self. That's how mama's daughter and son were raised. Cause I've been let down more times than Rapunzel's braids. Now, Sci-Hi definitely had a dope verse also. And it was great to hear something new for him, as I feel it's been a while. I hope that he has plans to drop some new music sooner than later. The subsequent track, From the Start, is another standout moment on the album. This features the OG Styles P and Bun B and a strong hook from El Camino. This Shay instrumental is dreamy and far away, yet still a little somber. It manages to complement the more reflective and slightly motivational bars from everyone involved. Immediately after is Bellini. I would consider this to be another high point on the project. Here we get Grafh hitting us with some enthusiastic slick talk and coke dealing braggadocio on top of a vintage guitar and horn loop. It just has that nice blend between chic and gritty. The second verse finds Grafh rapping the entire verse in his Plug's voice. What follows is the track Crystals. It's a record with more grimy coke talk. The beat is also very Griselda inspired with the dark organ sample and dusty drums. There's somewhat of a reggae-esque soundboy quality to the hook as well, which wasn't too bad, but the following lines definitely stood out. I took a crack house and made a palace. I trapped full-time and rap part-time. What a waste of talent. The penultimate track is Valid, which features Sheik, Luch, and Ransom. The three spit some hardcore lines over a spooky synth loop. Again, I found the guests to actually have better verses than Grafh. I'm not saying that his was bad at all. It's just that I ended up liking Sheik's and Ransom's a little more. Then the album concludes with God Must Love Me. It's a dope and heartfelt closing track where Grafh exposes his own flaws, insecurities, and crimes. It's introspective Grafh over a smooth and soulful beat from Shay. Overall, I give this project a rating of a light 3.5 mics. I feel it's a solid project, nothing mind-blowing, and I can't exactly put my finger on why, but it's mostly good as a whole. Now, I don't consider it to be as good as Grafh's Oracle 3 from last year, but it is better than his Good Energy project from last year as well. Lyrically, Grafh is still a beast. There's no denying that. There are plenty of quotables and witty lines to pull from throughout this album. But still, despite Grafh continuing to rap at a high level, I feel he did get outshined by all his guests, with the exception of Rick Hyde and Heem, of course. I mean, Grafh is never going to get outshined by those two. When talking about the production, I feel that DJ Shay laced Grafh with a batch of mostly dope beats, but if I'm gonna keep it a buck, I found some of the production to be a little dry. And that is just my own opinion. You may have loved these DJ Shay beats, but the important thing is I definitely respect DJ Shay's work, and I am going to miss his production moving forward. Despite the minor issues that I had, I feel this is a solid project that I'm sure most Grafh fans will be pleased with. My favorite tracks include Very Different, Slums, From the Start, Bellini, Valid, and God Must Love Me. Let me know your thoughts on this album in the comment section below. It's your boy Mixtape Moth. I'm signing out, but be sure to hit that like button and please subscribe. As always, it's peace and blessings. Graph, DJ Shay, stop calling art content. 1.